Okay, so now that we have our prop exported and the tileable texture made, I'm gonna talk to you about the displacement map, displacement technique used inside CryEngine. So let's first go into the roller bar, into the brush window, and again, if your object is not here, just click Revolve. Now let's search for it. Okay, so now here it is. I'm just gonna drag and drop it here. Alright, so now what we're going to do it's just with our newly created material, cave module tutorial, just assign it here. So now there's a few things that you need to do. Now you see that because of the outer mesh the sunlight doesn't go here, but still it looks pretty sunny inside. So before we tweak the material, we're gonna place an environment probe here. Alright. Okay, so now I'll just bake. Now this cube map is to. We should increase the radius, something like 50, and just increase the cover a bit. Let's try now. Okay, so now we're just gonna place some lights. So we should be able to see much better the normal map and the displacement map. Okay, and I'm just gonna place another one. Actually, I'm just gonna copy one of the lights here. Okay, so now let's tweak our material and see how it would look. Now let's first set the surface type to something like rock, also the collision. Let's increase a bit the specular, decrease a little bit the diffuse, increase the glossiness, and now I think we should tile this texture a bit more. So the easiest way to do this is just to go here under the diffuse tiling and just type something like 3 by 3. Okay, maybe 2.4 by 2.4. Alright, so now as you can see the normal map is looking pretty good, but It's gonna look even better when we activate the parallax displacement or the tessellation. So in order to do this, just go again in the material. With the picker, just select this material and just go here in the height map slot. Click here on this button. Go into your directory and then just find the displacement map, the DISPL postfix named one. Just double click on it, and now what it's left to do is just you should go here into the shader generation parameters and just first maybe we should try this parallax occlusion mapping with silhouette. Alright, so at first you see nothing big happens. First we should decrease this wider because the silhouette parallax number of steps. The higher the number, the higher the computations and the frame rate could really suffer. So I think something like this, it's still very good. So now the value of the displacement, it's in this wider, the silhouette palm displacement. By default it's at really low level, but for example if you put it on something like 0.2 or okay, even by 5, you see how the geometry now it's really tessellated. Yeah, as you can see here now we have this really cool looking rock details. For example, I'm gonna switch it off again just so you can see the difference. Alright. So yeah, maybe this value is a bit too much. I'm gonna maybe type like this. And the height bias, this depends from material to material, but usually it controls how inset the geometry will go with the parallax occlusion enabled. So now as you can see the lower values actually insets inwards the geometry, so the whole cave module becomes much more tighter. It controls at which direction the geometry will displace based on the height map. Okay, so now, yeah, as you can see, it's looking pretty nice. And if you play around with the lighting and stuff like that, you can achieve really great looking results. So, okay, let's show the other one. Now I'm gonna untick this and I'm just going to switch to displacement mapping. Okay. So now, again, this tessellation factor controls how dense the mesh will be when it tessellates. So the default number is pretty high, we don't really need this one. So something along the lines of 4 or 5, it's pretty good. So here, you should go upwards and go here on the displacement height scale. By default it's at 1, I'm gonna set to 4. So you see here again that the walls get tessellated. But again, personally I prefer the parallax occlusion with silhouette because I don't know, it just looks way more realistic to me. And the other downside of the displacement is that it generates procedurally at the areas of the level closer to the player. So for example, if I just zoom out of the wall, you can see how the geometry will smoothen up again and the displacement will disappear. So basically it appears only closely to the player. So from here again you can play around with the sliders, but yeah, as you can see, it doesn't look as good as the parallax occlusion. And now the third option that I usually use, it's the ordinary parallax occlusion mapping. It's not so sophisticated and nicely looking like the other one with the silhouette, but still it's looking pretty nice. But yeah, it's older technology. So, for example, here when you go and look at the geometry at certain angles, you see these stretched artifacts. I'm just going to decrease the speed so you can see what I mean. Like all these artifacts appear when you use this older version of the parallax. So yeah, I think it's better to use the, if possible, the parallax occlusion with silhouette, but just bear in mind that it's pretty heavy technique, so just don't use it on every prop on the level or the frame rate will really suffer. So well, the other thing that I want to add is that we made this height map 2K, but we don't really need it to be this high res. So I'm gonna set it I'm just gonna set it to 1K. And that will additionally optimize a bit your scene. Again, as you can see here, we didn't lose any major detail, but the level will run a bit more smoothly. So yeah, basically that's it, and in the next video I'll show you how to blend two textures and create a nice variety on this cave wall.